What's up, YouTube? How y'all doing, man? Check this out. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. Diddy makes last ditch effort to reveal his conviction, to reverse his conviction due to allegations, poor living conditions. Yeah, right. It's jail, bruh. Trust me. It ain't gonna get no poor than that. How y'all doing, man? Hey, check this out. My neighbor, I ain't put it on yet. My neighbor, shout out to my neighbor. It's a piece of tape on the joint. My neighbor gave me a new hat. You know, he wanted us to help him move some stuff, but I ain't gonna wear it right now. I'm gonna stick with the old school, man. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's check this bad boy out, man. Here we go.
Let's start today with Diddy. Right before our taping, he was back in court for a pre-sentencing hearing.
Okay.
They had filed a motion essentially that said that the Mann Act was unconstitutional. It's a racist law. And, I was curious when I saw that because, it's a law that we're not that familiar with. And so I looked at it and it does look like it might be a racist law. It used to be called the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Whoa.
Apparently it was targeted interracial relationships and things like that. So I don't know. Have you ever had a case, Dave, with the Mann Act or anything about this law?
Well, actually, I don't think that when I was state attorney, we had any Mann Act cases. I mean, in particular, because we're state prosecutors, not federal prosecutors. But I am familiar with the act, and that act is used a lot when it comes to sex trafficking these days. It's not your grandfather's Mann Act anymore. In fact, in 1986, there was an amendment to the act that replaced this immorality clause of it, which allowed it to be used and misused in all sorts of matters. Mm-hmm. And that's why people like Jack Johnson, the boxer, and the musicians, and even Charlie Chaplin was implicated under the Mann Act. Because if you wanted to go after your political enemies, that was the broad act to do so. Not anymore. It's been limited. It's more specifically defined. And now you see it in sex trafficking cases as like a backstop. And it is used here to give the victims of Diddy some justice, even after he was acquitted of all the major charges.
Well, what do you think? You think that this is a strong argument, Matt? Do you think that they'll actually be able to get some type of a reversal on these few convictions that Diddy has?
No, I don't think they will.
I don't either.
But this is, people have to remember we have a separation of powers. And essentially, when you have a law, like Dave just pointed out, it's been updated multiple times. It's over 100 years old. Whatever the sources were, it's used a lot still, right or wrong. And it's not really a judge's job to bless it or not bless it. It's really, that's more a function of the appeals court, potentially. But I think the time to bring a motion saying that the elements don't fit were during the trial itself. They didn't. I think it's kind of waived. And I was kind of surprised today that we even saw the judge taken under submission. I don't see anything happening. I've been wrong before. I think the defense did a very good job during the trial itself on this. But I think they're going through the motions at this point. I'd be shocked if the judge actually granted this.
Yeah, I almost felt like this was a preview of the sentencing. We're trying to throw everything at sentencing to get as much leniency as possible. Let's throw these in right before, on the eve of sentencing, to sort of butter the judge up. If he's going to rule against us on these, maybe we'll rule for us on sentencing. So let's talk a little bit about sentencing. They filed, I think it was a 192-page sentencing motion. And this, this is common in federal court, filing these motions to say that, our side thinks that the guidelines show one thing and the other side thinks the guidelines show another. Looks like Diddy's lawyers are saying he should serve maybe 14 months, which means he'd be out right before Christmas, and the government's saying 5 years. What do you think is the strongest argument on each side? Dave, let's start with you.
Well, I do think that he will get more than what the defense is asking for, because the judge saw what we all saw, that there was violence here, that video of Diddy just manhandling Cassie cannot be ignored. And I do think the judge thinks, like most of us, that Diddy got away with one here. That I was shocked that he got away with sex trafficking when I thought the evidence was pretty clear. When it came to Cassie, maybe not as much with the others. And so I do think that the judge will give him more than the defense is requesting, but not as much as the prosecution, I think, who wants at least 4 years, 5 years. You mentioned that he can get up to 7 years and 3 months according to the sentencing guidelines because of his violence in this past and also the role that drugs played in all this. So I think the best argument for the prosecution will be the violence that you cannot ignore because it's on video. People lie, video does not. And I think the best argument for the defense would be that these are just the least of the charges. These are prostitution charges, and they should not be used to put someone in prison as a makeup for the larger crimes that he was convicted of.
I know. I agree. What do you think, Matt? The best arguments
I think that you and I, all three of us now, we've had those cases where you go in front of a judge and you make an argument. This throw all the spaghetti on the wall and hope something sticks has never been, I think, the best way to go because you lose so much credibility. And we see a lot of that actually in this motion. They talk about disparity in sentencing. That's something I think the judge is really going to pay attention to. It's what does the typical Mann Act violation entail? What are the typical sentences? Because you really have to, in federal court, you've got to justify any sort of departure from that from a legal perspective. And the judge would have to defend his decision on that. So I think that that's going to be very persuasive. Some of the other stuff in there is he doesn't like the food in jail. He has to sleep too close to other inmates. That is kind of, I was kind of surprised to read that, honestly, because they did such a good job in the trial. And they just, in my view, looked stupid. Sorry, including that. That's a boohoo thing. That comes off to me as a guy who, like Dave said, a lot of people see this as he dodged a bullet. But that sounds like a really privileged, wealthy guy who doesn't like the conditions of his confinement. And I see that going nowhere with the court. So disparity in sentencing, that's a really good issue for them. And I think Dave's exactly right. I think the court will somewhere along the way, he's going to split the baby between what the defense and what the prosecution is asking for. And my guess is Diddy's going to be out in about a year.
Yeah, Matt, I was looking at those conditions, and I think they're atrocious, but I think most jail conditions are atrocious in this country. And I just couldn't help but think that was a client-driven decision to put those in. We've all had those clients that are like, hey, you know what I've gone through? I want the world to know that. And
how can you say he going to be out in a year? I'm over here trying to wrap my head around this. Dude, he was found guilty on 2 counts, so he going to give him half of... Oh my God, man. I don't know what they looking at. Here we go.
And I just caution them against it. But let's talk a little bit about those conditions. We've got the motion. Some of the things that they included was that he's on constant suicide watch. And, this is...
He on watch. He not on suicide watch. Somebody said that it's not called... It's a whole lot of things that make it mean suicide watch. He is on watch, though.
What the prosecution is asking for. And my guess is Diddy's going to be out in about a year.
Yeah, Matt, I was looking at those conditions, and I think they're atrocious, but I think most jail conditions are atrocious in this country. And I just couldn't help but think that was a client-driven decision to put those in. We've all had those clients that are like, hey, you know what I've gone through? I want the world to know that. And I just caution them against it. But let's talk a little bit about those conditions. We've got the motion. Some of the things that they included was that he's on constant suicide watch. And, this has got to be difficult. I mean, every 2 hours, apparently they wake him up to make sure he's alive and well. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me why that's going on. His cell is illuminated for 24 hours a day. He's got limited access to clean water. I didn't really understand that. We're not in a third world country, but apparently he heats his own water before he's able to drink it so that he couldn't get sick. The sleeping arrangements, that's pretty typical. I mean, sleeping in a dorm style room with 2 other inmates with a bathroom, that didn't seem that crazy for incarceration to me. That he hadn't breathed fresh air in nearly 13 months nor felt the sunlight on his skin. Again, it's pretty typical. I mean, I don't think it's right, but it is pretty typical of the types of conditions. What I didn't know was that he's got some medical issues. They talked about he walks with a limp, doesn't have healthy food. Yeah, that's pretty fair. I don't know about you guys, but I know the Fulton County Jail, if you've probably seen the articles, I read this, it said expired processed pork, and all I could do was think of the odor of bologna sandwiches, which is what they feed for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the Fulton County Jail. And it is literally the most vile smell. So, I definitely understand that. Said that his food could have maggots. I mean, do you think any of these arguments, Dave, are going to carry any weight with the judge, or do you think the judge is just going to say, why are you complaining about this stuff?
Yeah, the latter. I don't think that's his best argument. I was surprised about the maggots. I understand you sandwiches, and remember Donna Adelson said, "Hey, they're giving me all carbs. I'm putting on all this weight. I'm getting pasta with potatoes." Well, maggots in your expired pork? I don't know if I believe all that. Maybe he saw one or two. Maybe, is that a normal thing that they just eat their maggots? It sounds like some of these terrible movies from the 70s, like Escape from Alcatraz and stuff.
I know, it's pretty nasty. I don't think it's going to be that successful either, but if any of it's true, it is pretty disturbing. I mean, we are, we're not a third world country. We can do a little bit better than that. But I don't know that it's going to carry a lot of weight with the sentencing court. Another thing, though, that very curious what you think about his free game with Diddy. So one of the other things that he put in his sentencing memo is that he has launched a jailhouse course to teach fellow inmates business skills. Apparently, he did this to spread his knowledge of business with his fellow inmates. And I sort of think this could go both ways. I mean, we always like to show that our clients are trying to utilize their time for the betterment of society. But, what type of an impact did this have? What do you think, Matt? Do you think this is just a Hail Mary?
You know what I think? I think this is just an attempt to garner some sort of mitigation. And what does that mean? Is this a formal thing where the people are signing up and he's got an actual room, or is this him sitting at the friggin' lunch table in the day room, telling stories about his rise to fame, hoping that the guys aren't going to friggin' steal his food? There's a lot of stuff in that motion that. Frankly, I'm not believing Diddy on anything that he says. So there's a lot of that stuff that I think is. I think you hit the nail on the head. Ashley, this is client driven, and he's trying to talk to everybody, and that could be one other inmate who wants a job when he gets out. I don't think the judge is going to put any weight on any of that.
Right. And I don't either. And I don't think the judge is going to put a lot of weight on the mom's letter. I mean, it's sad, and I read these and we get them from clients all the time. Diddy's mom is 85 years old. She doesn't want to die with her son in custody. I get that. But, is that something that really differentiates this case from the next case, or really is a factor in sentencing? I mean, it always breaks my heart to see these mom's letters. But let's talk about his new lawsuit. So he has been sued. This was interesting because this is a guy who testified, Deontay Nash, who actually testified at the trial.
Man, there's no such thing as a new lawsuit with Diddy no more, man. He got so many lawsuits. I thought it was a new one. She talking about the same guy.
And testified he was his ex-stylist, said that he had been subjected to a nightmare of sexual, physical, psychological abuse, unreasonable demands, et cetera, et cetera. But when he testified at trial, he said that he did not ever consider suing. So what do you think, Matt, changed his mind on this?
I think, look, I don't know. I haven't read his lawsuit, but I think that there's a phenomenon, especially in the modern era, when you...
Wait a minute, he changed his mind? Hold on, I missed it, man.
And testified he was his ex-stylist.
Okay.
Said that he had been subjected to a nightmare of sexual, physical, psychological abuse, unreasonable demands, et cetera, et cetera. But when he testified at trial, he said that he did not ever consider suing. Okay. So what do you think, Matt, changed his mind on this?
Okay.
I think, look, I don't know. I haven't read his lawsuit, but I think that there's a phenomenon, especially in the modern era, when you got somebody who's wealthy and one person steps up and tries to take some of their money. Seems like the piranhas really come out. And
do you hear his choice of words? When somebody steps up and try to take their money. Man, these people, are you dumb? You must be dumb. I swear these people that think they smart, they so dumb. Think about what you're saying.
It's a phenomenon, especially in the modern era.
Watch this.
Et cetera, et cetera. But when he testified at trial, He said that he did not ever consider suing.
Facts.
So what do you think, Matt, changed his mind on this?
I think, look, I don't know. I haven't read his lawsuit, but I think that there's a phenomenon, especially in the modern era, when you got somebody who's wealthy and one person steps up and tries to take some of their money. Seems like the piranhas really come out. And I did see, I remember when that guy testified. And, you'd think that would be the type of thing that would come up during the testimony. It didn't. So my gut instinct, again, I don't know. I don't want to pass any judgment on the merits of a lawsuit that I'm not involved in, but I kind of had to hold my nose a little bit on that. As much as what we saw from Diddy was awful and what he engaged in, he treated people horribly. I don't know. It's pretty late in the game, and I'm skeptical about that one.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought it was a pretty late in the game. What about you, Dave?
I think it's probably lawyer driven. I actually do believe when he testified, he believed in his mind that no, he wasn't going to sue. And then I think afterwards, some lawyers got to him and said, hey, you can make a lot of money on this. Look how much money others are making and others are filing lawsuits. I mean, and I know I should be more cynical about it, but I actually do believe that there are people who go into this thinking, I really don't want to be here. I'm under a subpoena. I want this to be over. And then they see all these other people who have stepped forward and it emboldens them. And so I don't think he was lying. I think that he was just convinced otherwise by people afterwards, and best of luck to him.
Man, dude, it's all about the money. That's it. It's all about the money, man. It is all about money. That's all it is. He just said it. He talking about some, take somebody money. No, if somebody do something wrong to you and you sue them, you're not taking the money. Taking is the worst word you could use. It's the worst word you could use. Taking is like stealing or sneaking somebody money or robbing somebody. Come on, man. If you sue somebody and you win your case, you win what's owed to you because they for pain and suffering. This world done changed, man. I swear to goodness, this world done changed. All right, Teacher Tail, man. Let's see what she got to say, man. Hey, what's up, everybody? Brian Steele really submitted prison reverse about Diddy. They're really grasping at straws. Yeah, they do. Come on, man. Everybody, it ain't nothing to report. It ain't nothing. How y'all doing? Y'all doing all right? I should just play the guitar. It ain't nothing to report. We got all this paperwork. Who gonna go first? You gonna go first? I mean, so what you gonna say to him? Well, I know what I'm gonna say. This Diddy, Yana, or Judge. Look here, Playboy. Look here, Playboy. What's up, Playboy? Look here. I want to talk to you, man. Alone. That would be funny if the judge said, long as you don't bring no baby oil, I'll talk to you. Here we go, man. Let's check this out, man. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing today, baby? Well, your name is Brian Steele. You have been busy on the ones and twos. Y'all, Brian Steele has literally been submitting prison Yelp reviews on Diddy's behalf so he can become a free man. You guys, what am I talking about? Brian Steele basically submitted prison Yelp review of Diddy's free game course he gives at jail.
Oh my God.
These prison Yelp reviews, oh my God. These are all his new character witnesses, people that are locked up in jail with them. Now, here, listen, I'm not saying because you've been to jail, been arrested, that you are disposable. I am saying that let's talk apples to apples. One, Diddy's free game course, which, by the way, already sounds like a scam, already sounds like a con. Free game course from jail. Are we still in 2009? What would you rather do? Take $1 million or have dinner with Jay-Z? And baby, Diddy ain't Jay-Z. What would you rather do? Let me just say this. If Diddy had free game to give up, where's everybody that benefited from that game? Honestly, where is it? His kids aren't billionaires. I don't think any of them have careers. I know they are young, but at the end of the day, he didn't even know how to build up the kids.
Wait a minute, Bow Wow was young and he had a nice good start off. It's a lot of star kids. Diddy kids should have been starred. Diddy. The only thing that made Diddy kids stars was they was Diddy's kids. Okay, them Diddy kids. So, and that's how they carrying themselves, man. Where's the talent? I thought one of them had some decent talent. They just spoil kids, man. They grown now. Stop calling them kids. They grown adults. They still kids to me. I'm ready to hit 60, bruh. And trust me, when I was whatever age they are, some of them just hitting 30 or something, right? They almost not kids. Here we go.
Where is it? His kids aren't billionaires. I don't think any of them have careers. I know they are young, but at the end of the day, he didn't even know how to build up the kids. Who are his associates that he made billionaires? Who are his associates he made millionaires? As far as I know, Stevie J is still walking around in Miami in a silk two-piece, trying to see what that thing do. Talking about Carisha wouldn't never ride with you. Again, what is this free game? What wealth outside of his own has Diddy ever helped establish? And I'm even talking about down to his children. And how do I know there's no wealth there? Well, either that or the courts are lying, because they said that Diddy needs to come outside so he can financially support his grown children and his mama. His mama's not a millionaire. His kids aren't millionaires unless they are, and this is all BS. Again, what has Diddy done for the community? Even Young Miami, dear Your Honor, literally, she told a story that the most inspirational thing and the most beautiful thing her and Diddy ever did was that he took her to the Met Gala. And when I started hearing that, I was like, yo, what charity has Diddy actually accomplished? Until Miami wanted to write a letter saying she was Diddy's charity. A little black girl from Dade County finally got to be on the Met Gala. Girl, you were part of the City Girls. I'm sure if QC actually looked for a connection, they could have you on. This was the pinnacle of why we supposed to release this man for jail. Diddy is giving a free game course that didn't even work on his own kids, associates, loved ones. Is Young Miami a millionaire? She might be. I don't think she is. I don't think all the real millionaires, outside of Stephen Hill from BET and a few other people, is disappointed, but they made their money outside of Diddy. All the people in Diddy's circle, can y'all name one millionaire? I'm talking about with his family, with his loved ones, and with the girls that he dated. Interesting enough, with the free game course, I find it very, very interesting that it looks like to me 90% of the people that wrote a letter for Diddy were either his employees, his business associates, or women he allegedly had on payroll, or his significant others, girlfriends, babies' moms, whatever you want to call it, or people related to him by blood. And Diddy has this legacy of Black excellence. And as a woman with 4 Black grandparents and 2 Black parents, I can speak on the people, right? If we're into the whole point of Black excellence, where is this excellence he created? I'm not talking about the side. It's not my fault that your mama ain't love you and your daddy ain't teach you nothing. And you needed to see Diddy doing the Harlem Shake, which, by the way, he admitted that he's been on Tucci for how many years? So you see somebody that literally the highest person in the room, right? And this is what you're like, wow, it's not my fault that you grew up in a part of the Black community where that monster motivated you, where you ain't have nobody else being a doctor, being a lawyer, getting it in. How about this? How about even if you're working at just like CVS, Walmart? Ain't no shame in that. At all. There's no shame in being working class. There's no shame in being broke. There's no shame in living paycheck to paycheck. 95% of America is doing that. The shame is when you're not a good person. So can somebody please explain to me how that the Diddy Brigade is trying to convince us that in America, we need to keep this, in 2025, we need to keep this monster on the street. We need to keep this monster on the street, because if not, how will we know that we belong in those rooms? How will we know that we're welcome? How will we know? As if he is Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King all wrapped up in one. I find the conversations that are being had about Diddy to be super, super insulting. I find it incredible that there are actually Black people having these conversations, telling on themselves that you come from filth, you come from degeneracy, your mama ain't love you, and your daddy ain't teach you nothing, and every man or woman you met in your life treated you worse so much that you see this person and you're just like, wow, look what I can do. I'm talking about the people that have platforms going this. Miami, stand up. You are part of the city girls. I don't know what you've seen in your life, but the fact that you're like, my life was irreparably changed because he took you on a couple of trips. He took you to a private island. Your kids weren't even around for the holidays, according to Little Rod. Was it worth it? Is everything he poured into you, is that more than you could have gotten on your own? Maybe it is, and that's fine. But can we just all start talking about Diddy does not stand for the Black community. He doesn't. He did when we thought he was like a great father and a genuinely good person. But once his moral character went into the dirt, Diddy does not speak for the Black community. He does not speak for Black men. He don't speak for Black women. He speaks for a billionaire scumbags. And if you guys are not billionaire scumbags, and I want to say being a scumbag don't count. If you are not a billionaire scumbag, then Diddy don't speak for you. But I guess the scumbags are hoping one day they play their cards right, they can be billionaires. But see, that's the thing with the free game course that Diddy magically did once he was in jail, right? Because before that, he couldn't even give his kids the free game because where's their businesses? And no, I'm not talking about them being on Snapchat. Where are their businesses? Where's their acumen? Where are they doing? They're sitting there telling the judge that they won't even be able to financially survive without their dad. Right? The probation department is recommending, and this is unbiased, pre-sentencing report, between 53 and I think 87 months. That's up to between 5 years and 7 years and 3 months. And the prosecution said, baby, we going onward and upward. Okay? Some people said that Diddy's going to be going home today. That is impossible. Because the judge is going to listen to the arguments and then he's going to take about sometime next week to look over the arguments, see which one is better, write up his opinion, and then make his ruling. What does that tell you? That Diddy is going to be sentenced before a ruling for the acquittal comes through. So what is everybody talking about? Diddy's going home today. How? We are living in upside down world. I do want to say this, and I've said it once and I've said it again. As many times our people are like, Tisa lied, because they dumb, they broke, there's a lot of things going on, right? And when I say broke, I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about in spirit. Right?
Talk to him. When I say broke, they first only think about money. It could be a broken arm, broken spirit, your broken family, you're just broken. Broken thinking, bad thinking. Why would he go home? Because that's what you hoping for. You're not thinking though. You're just hoping that he go home so you can just prove Tisa, sorry y'all. You just want to prove her wrong so bad that you ain't putting in no work for yourself. That's what the problem is, man. Be easy, man. Ease out. Chill out. Chilly Willy on out, big baby. I said big baby. Here we go.
Because money's the
Here we go.
They broke. There's a lot of things going on, right? And when I say broke, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about in spirit. Right? Because money is the cheapest thing in the world. Everybody can get money, okay? The whole thing is that, did I lie? Because the pre-sentencing report, when they saw the evidence, came to the same conclusion that I did.
Yeah, wait a minute. Hold up. That's right. Remember the dude that was outside? Where my phone at? Yeah, Tisha, you lied. You lied to your subscribers. You're going to give your subscribers their money back because you lied to them. Lied about what? He never said that. Lied. You lied. Yeah, Diddy about to be. You are jumping the gun. You can't say non-lawyer type person. You can't say Diddy is about to do anything. You ain't never passed no freaking bar. You don't even know the law. You just think you know your rights, and you don't even know that all the way. I don't care what's going on. I'm trying to tell y'all, no matter what they say, and they gonna start, I swear I hope they do a whole nother trial and then find them guilty on the same 2 counts. He want to take the long route. They gonna take the long route on this thing, man. They're going, because it's YouTube views going back up. The whole court case got to pack up and go back up there.
We did about what's...
Here we go.
Because
here we go. Almost finished, y'all.
When they saw the evidence, came to the same conclusion that I did, that you did, that we did about what's going on with Diddy. Again, you guys, there's going to be a lot of content over the next few days because we are going to get into every single person that wrote a character reference for Diddy. Let them be named. Let them be shamed. I do feel like they should be ashamed of what they've done, but it is their choice and I respect that. We respect our right to laugh at their choices. But can we also say this? Everybody's talking about Diddy had over 60, 70 people that wrote letters for him. Okay. And everybody's saying, oh, but he treated me good. Okay. But can I also say this? You know, murderers have people in court crying over them all the time. People that, Jeffrey Dahmer, didn't his mom write a character reference? The fact of the matter that we can't separate the fact that you can be... The fact we live in a world that people are like, well, he was good to me. The fact that we live in a world where people are so selfish, so self-confused, so willing to do anything for a Gucci bag, a Chanel bag. And baby, I'm not just talking about the women, because you ain't seen groupies till you've seen men or people that are old enough to be men around somebody rich, around a man with money. Baby, that's a bottom hole if I ever saw one. But the fact that we live in a world where people are genuinely looking at us dead ass and saying, well, he was nice to me. So, okay, well, if that's the case, every rapist, most of them in court got family and wives and stuff shocked. Every serial killer got a neighbor that said, he was so nice, I wonder what happened. Again, getting money, doing business deals, taking somebody for promotion to the Met Gala, that's not charity work. And the fact that all these people writing letters don't realize you were Diddy's charity work, he was using you for his own gain. And that was the pinnacle of your life, I guess. Anyway, shout out to Brian Steele for submitting Yelp reviews from prison inmates about Diddy's free game course that he just started 6 weeks ago. Hopefully his kids signed up for it because they gonna need it. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
I can't wait, man. Hey, I'm gonna be right there with you, Teacher Tales. Teacher Tales everything, bro. I could not believe these people. They are still saying, well, Diddy might get out. I seen one clickbait, y'all. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I seen one clickbait. Diddy's about to walk out them courtroom door. Dude, a dummy. Let me let y'all know on something. If the judge, dang, I can't even get it out. If the judge says that he can get out, they are not gonna let him walk out the front doors of the courtroom. You gotta go back to jail, get all your stuff, get all prosecuted, then you walk out from the jail. You don't walk out from the court. What's wrong with these people, man? Oh my God. They may not take him back in handcuffs. I don't know, man. Look here, I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. I'm allergic to jail. I don't even know why I'm talking about all this jail stuff. Look here, y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.